Friends and family, welcome to another live broadcast brought to you by Premier's Turning Point, with your host, Bishop Dr. Uton Lay. We pray and hope that something that is being said today will bless your soul and spirit. Please take a quick moment to like and share this broadcast with your friends and family. Thank you again for joining us. Let's go into our live program.
Blessings and good evening. I'm sure everybody's having a wonderful day. It's a beautiful day out, and you're again with us on another broadcast of Turning Point, Premier's Turning Point. And this evening we want to do more like an update. I'm going to be the main moderator and guest, and so if necessary, I have to ask myself some questions. But I would really like everybody out there to share with your friends that the program is on, and please feel free to put your questions under the comments either on Facebook or YouTube, and we will get to them. I would like you to just really be interactive today. I will spend some time today over the course of the time going over the coronavirus, COVID-19 virus. Also, we'll talk a little bit about the flu since the flu season are here, so just to see what questions or concerns people may have about that. And then we'll also want to maybe just a quick aware feeler as where we are with all the race relations in the country. And then number 3, we'll just talk about some general occurrences. I did want to bring up a little bit about climate control and what people think about that. So we'll do that in my third segment. So feel free to start thinking about that, especially with the fires in California at this time and what is going on all over the world. So, turning point is where we think about what's happening and see can we do to make a difference and ultimately make a change. And we want everybody to, feel free. So right now, before we proceed, just share the program, with your friends, like and share both on Facebook and on YouTube, and just get people, right now on listening to understand that where we are, and to bring in and chime in on any questions that they may have. So feel free. Any question is fair game this evening. We want you just to be well informed, well educated, and well kept up to date. So it's an open field for whatever questions you do have. We'll be more than happy to share with you and to answer them. I'll be trying to tracking both things. Hallelujah! Be trying to tracking both your Facebook comments and your YouTube comments. So I will try to make sure that. So we thank God for those people who joined in already. And as I'm saying, come on, let's reach out. We need a lot more people need this information and need to get updated of what is going on. And we need to, share that with you. So we're going to proceed. So firstly, I will just talk a little bit, and as I said, any comments, questions, thoughts, ideas that you do have, please put them in the comment section on either Facebook or YouTube, and we will get to incorporate them. I know the state that we are right now, people are still quite concerned, and rightfully so, about what's going on with the COVID-19 virus. We see a lot of issues have popped up as they try to open up schools, colleges, and such alike. There's a lot of issues that is involved, and we see where people are, they're now closing back some down there, and there's all kinds of issues. We were went to the beach on Labor Day just to see what was going on. And, and thank God the beach we went to, they had it quite nicely distanced. People were kind of paying attention to what is going on, and people are, trying to, stay up to date. So we want you to, join in. We had a great time and just laying out and getting some sun and all of that stuff. So feel free, though, to put your comments on and to ask whatever questions you have. I can talk. I love to talk, but it's much better if you guys are interactive and, we're sharing. So for this week, I am both the moderator and the guest. So I will try to pull this off for you. So, make sure you start reaching out to friends, loved ones, and making sure everybody is joining in on Turning Point. So, firstly, this evening, I did want to, just kind of see what concerns people are facing and what issues when it comes to the COVID-19 virus in regards to, what thoughts you have about the prevalence, what's going on, how to protect yourself. The other thing that I want to talk about and incorporate is how we're reacting. I know last week we did a little bit of back to school kind of program with our some of our older children, those in college and going into high school, and we heard some concerns that they have. But now that school is technically open, whether virtually or in person, I just want to hear people's feedback and how they feel about everything and what is going on. So we want you to, be interactive as much as you can. So we know that, thank goodness, for quite a bit of the United States, we're seeing a decrease in just the amount of virus that is there. We're seeing some decrease, which is a good thing. There's still some states that are going up, but in the majority are now standing still or going down. So it is important to understand that we're not completely out of the woods yet, and we may see some resurgence based on what we are seeing and hearing. What people are doing. Some people are really engaging into some practice and behaviors that are not necessarily conducive to reduction in the spread, because we're finding that there's still a lot of large gatherings that are happening where people are not distanced, where they're not wearing a mask. We even see some of that going on as we watch on the television, on some of the rallies and things that are going on. It's just amazing to see people gathered together and not, doing the necessary thing that it takes to social distance or to wear a mask. But what I'm pointing out that is, as much as we're seeing some decline in the amount of the virus that is there, some of that may be due to decreased testing, but we'll find out with time. But we are still not out of the woods. What we also find is that the death rate has not really gone down as much as the incident rate. So we're still seeing much as 1,000 people a day still dying in the United States, which is still pretty major. We're up to more than 190 plus thousand deaths so far, which is just crazy. When we look at last year in comparison, there was about 34,000 deaths from the flu. And even though people are saying, hey, it's just a flu, it's just like the flu, I have to say it's more than that. It's something quite different and novel, and we need to pay attention to what's going on. I find also that I see there's still a lot of parties popping up here and there, gatherings here and there, but people, it's not that you can't gather, especially outside, but you need the appropriate distancing, and the social distancing need to be there and intact. And I think that's one of the things that I want to be responsible and talk about on this program, because if we expect to see a turning point in this coronavirus pandemic, we have to make a turn in the things that we are doing. And one thing I have contended for, and I've mentioned it a lot on this program, is if everyone is responsible for themselves and everyone takes the necessary precaution, thinking about yourself first, but then others, we will be able to get this thing under control. We will see a decline, and ultimately we will see, once we have a vaccine, quite a bit of improvement in the overall pandemic. So we need to step up as, especially as God's people, and especially as the people of the world. We need all of us to make a stand for this. And as a matter of fact, one of the things that I propose, that even with our ministry, we have not been back in the building yet because we are waiting to see this under control. We are gathering outside, and even so, we are social distancing. So I do want everybody to understand this is very important. I can't stress it enough, the necessity where this virus is concerned, to make sure we are practicing the social distancing that is necessary. Now, one of the things that I have now been observing over the past few months is that a lot of family members are having family parties and getting together, and they don't live in the same household. I want to make another warning where that is concerned, especially for the people that know me and are acquainted with me. I will tell you without a doubt, it is necessary that you stay distance. This, I don't think, is the time to having parties and getting together where you have multiple people from multiple households coming together. Now, if you have a big family, you all live in the same household, go right ahead. But it's still important. It doesn't matter to me that everybody there you thought are even tested negative, okay? Because you can test negative right now, and in a few minutes, somehow you become positive because the virus has decided to be expressed. So people may test negative, but that is not a guarantee they're not negative, especially if they're out and about, going various places, meeting with people, and not wearing a mask and not socially distance. So families out there, I really am impressing upon you, you need to be careful. You need to be watchful. You need to know what you are up against and where you're going. So those families that are insistent on getting together, I am warning and I'm putting out an appeal to you. Stay distant. Use YouTube. Use whatever social media. It's time to meet up with your family. If you're not of the same household, all right, it's going to be very important that you get, don't worry about this parties and this get together right now. We'll have time for all of that once everything is better, once everything is under control. Right now, because we did hear of one story where a family member came to visit. I think it was from Virginia, and she came to visit. It was a pastor, as a matter of fact, in our local area. So she visited it, and then there's about 8 or 10 people in the family. Now, when she came, she thought she's not having any symptoms. Nothing is going on. So she was not realizing that she actually was positive. So the whole everyone that got together got infected. And ultimately, the pastor, which is an older person with other underlying condition, actually died. So I am putting out this today. It is important that you, each and every one of you, realize the gravity of the situation, realize the extent of what we're up against, and take the necessary precautions. Social distancing, wearing a mask. Don't get together with groups of people, even on the outside, without doing the mask and social distancing. The only people you should be getting together with are those that live in your household, because you've all been exposed to each other already. And then even for those who are living in households, and so some of the members have to be out because of their job, because of school, they need to be sure they're social distancing, and then they're going through the routine of making sure they're disinfecting, wearing the mask when it's necessary, so that they can prevent contracting it. Because once one person in a family contracted, before you know it, it's going to be spread to the whole household, and potentially people can get fatal illnesses and actually pass away from this. And it's very common. We're seeing this happening all over. So it's not that you're immune to this, or any of us. So I really re-stress and stress again the necessity for social distancing and for wearing a mask, and be not getting together. You can get together. For example, I'll give you an example. We had a small get together with my children, and I think a couple other people. It was outside in the backyard, and we socially distanced the 6 feet, and we will make sure. And this was maybe a month or more ago, or a few months ago. So we were very careful. And I mean, I love my family. I love, all and everybody loves their family. But if you really love them, you're going to take the necessary precautions until we have a zero infection rate, or the rate is below 1% in our area, I don't think you should be getting together at all with any kind of group of people. And even if it's outside, because a lot of times people think that because it's outside, they can, they can do whatever. But no, you still need the distance. This thing is passed through the air. From speaking to somebody, you can pass it if you accidentally cough, and all of that is so important. And actually, it brings me to another point. Remember now, everybody, anyone with any comments, questions, suggestions for this first part, I'm talking about COVID-19. We will switch and talk about some other topics in a few minutes. The other issue is I see a lot of people when they are speaking or singing, they're taking off their mask. Now, I would like you to understand, and I've tried it both ways, speaking through a mask into a microphone, you can still be heard. And the voice is not that much muffled. It is very important, especially if people are close to you, less than 6 feet away, even if you're outside, that you wear a mask even when you're speaking. I mean, I have been watching it a lot, especially on all of the broadcasts and the things on television. Everybody is just taking off masks and speak sometime into the same mic and sharing. It is dangerous. So even if you notice on our anniversary service that those people who got the candidate, our choir sang in their mask. It can be done. And I'm just trying to get everybody out there because basically I want us to be back to normal. I want us to be back to being able to get into buildings. But until we curb this pandemic and stay vigilant and make sure we're doing the appropriate things, then we're not going to get there. We're going to find out it's going to take an awfully long time, and we're not going to get there because everybody want to do their own thing. Now, we need to just be careful and listen to, what the experts are saying. So even talking, I am cautioning you, use your mask as much as possible. Speaking, singing especially, and all of those things that you're trying to get, bring that air up and out. If there's a virus around, it's going to go out. And then it's going to be in the air all around, and everybody breathing that air would be a potential of getting infected. So we really want you to be sure and understand what is going on. Again, you're catching up this week with Premier's Turning Point, and I'm Bishop Dr. Lang for anybody just joining. And what we want you to do is to be careful, to be safe, and to together beat this pandemic. Together we can do this. With the help of God, we can come out victoriously. I mean, many of us have lost loved ones already. Many of us know firsthand people who are infected, firsthand people who are affected. But guess what? If we do what is appropriate and follow the guidelines and social distance and making sure that we are, watching out for one another and keeping everything in line, then guess what? We're going to come out of this stronger and even more than we were when we got into it. So it can be won, this battle. Still talking about the coronavirus, I want to bring up because we are now in the middle of flu season. We're at the beginning of flu season. And it's going to be a tough thing to try to decipher if someone has the flu, someone has the COVID-19. And there may be also co-infections. So what we're going to suggest to everyone out there is to go and get the flu shot. The flu immunization, it covers for the flu about 50+%. And if you are vaccinated, then you have a much better chance of not getting the flu. Every time I talk about the flu shot or any shots, I usually take that opportunity to remind people that, for example, the flu shot is not a live virus that they're putting. It's really a genetically engineered protein product that resembles, when it is presented to the body, resembles the particular strain of virus, and therefore your body sees it. If you get an immunization, your body then goes up to defend itself against it and build up antibodies that are gonna then protect you if you happen to then, be exposed to the real flu. So it is important to understand that it's not a live virus. Those people that have gotten sick after getting an immunization, lots of time it's coincidence, and or you do get a reaction from getting the immunization, usually 10 to 13 days later, because that is your body fighting against a foreign product. And of course, that's what you want to happen. Some people, however, have an exaggerated immune system and then may get a little bit sicker than others. But you're not, really being given the flu by the flu vaccine, which a lot of people do not understand. So we want everybody to make sure, you're have that understanding. And this is flu season. Of course, all immunizations, except certain ones when you're a school child, are not mandatory, but these are highly, highly recommended, especially our folks that are over, probably over 50, 60, and especially those that are older. You definitely need to get this flu shot. Also, the younger children definitely need to be immunized with the flu shot, because what we're going to hope will happen is if you're immune to that, where of course, that doesn't make you immune to COVID, but we will kind of understand if you get sick to be more concerned and, to be more vigilant. Also, it's really going to be important, for your overall protection. So if we get everybody immunized against the flu, then of course you potentially could be exposed to the COVID-19, but we'll then know to look for that. And then of course we have ways to treat where we treat that where it's necessary. So right now the point is that you should make sure that you are immunized against the flu. And I want anybody with any concerns, any questions, please put a comment on the either the Facebook or the YouTube, so that I can address those concerns. Because I know a lot of you out there have concerns about immunizations and about all that. So the flu, I will talk a little bit about that. And then also, I know there's been a lot of controversy in the news about the upcoming COVID-19 vaccine. Right now, there are several that are in trial. Some are in the third phase of trial, that where they're getting human volunteers and are administering it. One of the vaccines was on hold, their development, because one person got ill, but they're trying to figure out, is that due to the vaccine or something else? I think they're about ready to open back up and continue that study. So the key point here is also we should allow the vaccine process to go through the regular lines. This is my opinion, of course, and make sure all the safety checks are done. Make sure all of also what they try to do as well is to figure out how much immunity do you develop, and how kind of predict how long that's going to last. They also can come up from doing the trials, how effective, it is in preventing the virus. And that's one of the things that they're looking into. A lot of the things that they're finding now have about 50%, but they want trying to see if we can get about 75% effective rate. So there's a lot of development that is going on, especially with the vaccines. And over the period of the next few months, I think we should have a safe vaccine, that we should, be, getting, involved and getting vaccinated. I am one of those who are going to keep a vigilant eye out. And I know one of the issues were one of the vaccine that was coming out in Russia, they were trying to put it out without doing the human testing. There was also a rumor that, we're going to try to push out a vaccine by November 3rd, and not even whether or not the human testing were done. That I would warn everybody to listen out for. And if any signs of that come up, please call your congressmen, your senators, call whoever, and try to impress upon them. Because one thing we don't want is a vaccine to come out, and then we find out that it's not safe, and then people are getting more detrimental effects from it. We want a safe and effective vaccine, and I think that is doable if we let them do follow the proper procedures, do the proper testing, do the proper evaluation to see if, then which vaccine is then more effective, and which one will then be able to work for the US population. And then I'm one of those who will propose, once they have a safe vaccine, that everybody get vaccinated. And of course, if you have an argument with that, feel free to reach out again on the Facebook and make a comment. If you have any issues with that statement or any statement that we make on this program, because we want to make sure this is engaging and that you're getting your concerns, your questions, and everything dealt with. Now, we are dealing with something that is a massive pandemic. So many people have lost their lives. Yeah, it's some of the news you're listening to, maybe some of it could have been avoided. But listen, here's where we are today. We are still at a high rate of infection. Yes, some states are coming down. The mortality rate is still quite high. There's still thousands, up to 1,000 deaths a day in the country. There's still people who are hospitalized. So this is serious. It's not something to, to sneeze about and to belittle or to, put down. But we need to, every one of us, to take this seriously and then make the necessary arrangements and do the necessary things that need to be done so that, we can be as safe as possible. Then in so doing, you would be able to, then we will be able to get under control this pandemic and then be able to make some forward steps. It's going to take all of us doing as much as we can what is right, what we know is right, and taking a stand for safety and taking a stand for the well-being of others. And as we do this, we will definitely be able to then share, with the world around, what we have done, what we have learned, and then we'll be able to then make this a global change, because this is a global pandemic. This is not something that, just touch one corner of the world. It is across the whole globe. And so I think it's going to take some global functioning, some global collaboration, some global putting the minds together to get it under control. But it can be done. We can reach that turning point where we see a turnaround and to where we start seeing the curve of infection going down and the curve of recovery going up. And that's what we're looking for. So this pandemic is for real. Make sure you have all the information. I also want to speak a little bit about even the reopening of schools. I know some schools are open, some colleges and universities, and of course, students that are become positive. And some of the colleges are even now reclosing, to then, see if they can regroup. So the word is out. You've got to be careful. I mean, especially, let me speak a little bit now to our children in college and those people in college. I know you want to see friends, you want to get together, you want to, build and work on your social life. But I'm cautioning you that you take all the necessary precaution. Refrain from gathering together in big groups. Wear a mask and do the social distancing. That's the minimum you can do to protect yourself. If it's not done, we're going to see all the colleges closed down. I'm telling you, that's my prediction. If people are not adhering to the safety rules and doing what is necessary, you're going to see all of them closed down. Already there's certain campuses that have thousands of people, and they're already now reclosing to kind of say, give it a chance to get things under control. So it's best for us to follow safety, basic safety when it comes to the coronavirus, and you wear a mask and distance. Of course, disinfect, wash hands, wear gloves when you're touching certain things, and make sure that, before you touch your face, nose, you wash you sanitize your hands. So all of us need to do the basics and follow the basic rules so that we can get control, we can have the upper hand. So that goes for colleges, that goes for all of the schools, some of the private schools, charter schools, and some public schools that are open up. We can't stress it enough, the need for that. Because one of the issues that I think a lot of places have not addressed, and I've actually observed and seen some churches that are having in the building meetings, a lot of them have a plexiglass that is in front of the pulpit or around certain areas. But remember, the virus is airborne. What doesn't get stuck to the plexiglass is going to go above the glass, all right? And then, of course, it's still going to be circulating in the room. So therefore, one of the next important thing is ventilation system. What kind of ventilation system is in the building that you're in? Do they have this system that is just moving around the same air? Or is there a system where the old air is moved out and new air is coming in? It's going to be very important. And that's one of the risk factors that we're going to see a lot of increased infections if people are in the same buildings and the same air is being circulated. Right? And this is airborne, and therefore it then will be circulated and people are going to be coming down. And that's why, again, the imperative is mask, social distancing, and of course, minimize the spread and the amount of the virus that is in the environment. And the one way to do that right now is have a good ventilation system. I know a lot of the older schools may have to revamp their systems, a lot of the churches even. So we need to start looking at that, especially before we go out. I mean, I'm not saying you don't put up your plexiglass, but believe it or not, even behind the plexiglass, you should probably be wearing a mask, because the part of the issue with that is decreasing the spread into the air that is down to get circulated. And unless we really have these ear-proof plexiglass booths that are totally up to the ceiling and have its own ventilation system, unless you have that kind of system, you're still at a risk of getting the virus spread around the room. So I'm cautioning, and even our churches that have reopened, don't put all your ducks in the plexiglass. You need to make sure your ventilation system is good and still practice the safe distance. Not because the person is behind a plexiglass, they shouldn't have a mask on, because you can still be spreading stuff up through the air. All right, and to make sure again that everybody should have their ventilation system checked. Is there a way of letting out old air and bringing in new? That's going to be the better way to go to decrease and diminish some of the spread that is going on. Now, feel free, as I said, to chime in with any comments, questions, or anything on Facebook. We see a lot of people are on. I don't see much comments, so I guess we're giving out good information and everybody is ready and prepared. But I'm going to make a transition to another topic in a minute. But if anybody have any questions or concerns or thoughts about the COVID-19, the pandemic, school reopening, churches reopening, and all of that, please feel free to put up your comments at this time, and we'll definitely answer them and talk to them. All right? So don't go on that until it's time to share and to invite others to listen in. You're listening to Premier's Turning Point with Bishop Dr. Lang. Now, the next topic that I wanted to and someone is making a comment before I transition, is that if you don't live together, you should distance as if the other person has a virus. Yeah, and that is true, and I mentioned that earlier. So, we cannot go around just, assuming because they're your family member and, they live in another house and they have not had the virus. You cannot make those assumptions. You have to treat everybody as if they are a potential virus carrier. And then if you act in that manner, you're going to go a long way in protecting yourself and also protecting them. All right? The next point I just wanted to make and talk a little bit about is, the state of the race relations and where the church is concerned and the people of God and what's going on. We still see there is a lot of racial tension that rightfully has been brought up by all the various things that are happening. And we want you to realize that as the people of God, we have an obligation to spread love, spread peace, and try to bridge that gap that has developed. And we want everybody to realize that we have a role, to reach out to our fellow men, share what we know, educate, and teach them about what is going on. All right, and it's really important that we do this. I'm going to back up and answer a question. Someone asked, "Do you think if there is a distance of more than 20 feet and wearing a mask, do we still need a plexiglass?" Um, I would say no. If you're 20 feet apart, all right, because unless that plexiglass, as I said before, goes up to the ceiling and that cubicle is, on a different ventilation system, then, I think, using a plexiglass in that particular instance is not going to help much because remember now, whatever is airborne, the plexiglass is going to prevent just that immediate area, right? So not that 20 feet away area, but in that 20 feet away area could be spread in the air, yes, but that's why you have your mask on. So I think the plexiglass, if you're that far apart, I don't think make that much of a difference. However, if that plexiglass is a cubicle that is self-contained on its own ventilation system, that would make you even more protected. But is it necessary if it's not that kind of system? I don't think so. All right. So if that didn't fully answer your question, then please feel to put some more comment. Next question was, how will schools be able to keep children 6 feet apart when they can't get adults to do it? Actually, I have more confidence in the school because the children are, especially in the classroom setting, I have more confidence that they can do that. They're going to set up the desk in that kind of spacing. They're going to try to institute the mask, and then the teachers are there to kind of monitor it. Well, the adults are the ones who are out of control, who should know better and should be doing better. And then, of course, you also can't talk to them and give them instructions. So therefore, the adults, seem to like doing their free for all. So of course, that doesn't address the times if they're on the playground, the times when they are, in the corridors. I think it can be addressed when they're in the classroom, but then you're still going to have an issue, policing that under other circumstances. So basically, I think, for us, even the parents, with younger children, you should start talking to them even before the possibility of going out to school, or if they're going out of school, definitely impress upon them, and let them see you wearing a mask. Let them take them out and about with a mask. Let them get used to it, and then impress upon them the need and the necessity for it, and that will probably be quite helpful. All right, so back on our race topic, I think all of us have the responsibility of educating. If you come across a person who have some issues with race, try to reach out and educate. I think our churches, our schools, and everywhere should be teaching and preaching. The need for people to come together, the need that people are the point that people are one, and we're all God's creation. And I think if we have to do a better job of getting that point across to hopefully then make a difference and a change in people's lives. So people come to understand that we are one and we are all God's creation and that we can make a difference. In light of what is going on, though, I think the church has to take a role, as well in protesting, in peacefully, making our points so that, the legislators and those who are in the governing parts can hear what we have to say. And hopefully they can then share it with their counterparts and we can get some effective change going on. We need changes. We need changes in the rules. We need changes in the institutional systems that have been set up. And we need to, vet all of that and come out strongly that the people of God, that every race is important, and that we can do this as we work together. The one good point that I've seen out of the peaceful protests are people coming together from every race, nation. When you look, there were protests in every country. And, I think this is the kind of thing that we need to keep doing to bring out the points that are necessary and need to be changed. One other thing we need to do is to get too much of the politics out of this. I don't know how you do it, but you see, most of that's the issue that we're seeing is a lot of these things are becoming so politicized, and then it loses the flavor, and it loses the fervor and for the things that it was going for. And I think if we can just stay, on the main line and share, speak out when it's necessary and try to keep the politing and the politics out of it, we're going to then be able to see some changes happening and some things taking place that are for the good. So, anyone also have a question about race relations? What can we do? Any thoughts, any suggestions? Feel free as well to share that in the comments, and we will, address that, look at those, and see where we can come together. Because it's going to take all of us working together to make a change in this country and in this world. It won't happen overnight, but it can happen. But we have to come together. Firstly, the church has to come together. Then we have to come together with the community and then try to impress upon them the need of what needs to take place, what needs to happen, what the people are facing, what they're going through, and then bring that up to a level of consciousness where everybody then is working on seeing all of that through and making a change and making a difference. This is how we're going to see change. Change is not going to happen without us standing up and taking a stand. We have to make this happen, and even the church, I think, has to also wake up and not be so dormant, but take part in the community, take part in what is going on, so that people can realize that we are one, and we can speak to them, about love and share the love that God has given to us, and try our best to share it with one and all. So it's really important that we stay tuned, we stay engaged, and what? Because a lot of times what will happen, the protests and everything will go on for that period of time. Everybody's concerned, but then it just fizzle away. But we got to keep up the pressure. We got to keep up, bringing up the points and the ideas and sharing, so that everybody can come to their full understanding of what this racial tension and all of this stuff is about. Because if we are going to proceed and move on, we need to do it together. And so, I really am very open to sharing and to reaching out, and I think we have to do more and more of that. All right. Someone was commenting about the children again, that good advice for the children to see what their parents are doing. Yeah, and that's an important thing. And even with the race, when we even talking about race relations, we need at home to portray love. And even though we may get upset at what we see is going on, we have to be willing to share love of God and to forgive, and then to say, all right, how can we work together to make things right and to move things forward? And you have to practice that at home. So your children have to see you. So even though you tell them, especially those of the African American race, that you're going to be persecuted, you're going to this, but you also have to give them that love of God on their inside, so they can understand, and they were going to react to even the things that they're going through in love, and be able to share with everybody around and with one another, and then they'll be able to reach one another in a more cohesive way, in a better way. And it's so good as the people of God. I know we can share with one another. We can let them know what is going on, and we, in our churches, in our synagogues, in our mosque, we need to be spreading love, because that is what's gonna make a difference. Is gonna share, because when you really love and you understand and you now love your neighbor as yourself, all right, you see how it's gonna make a big difference. And we need to start sharing that in everything that we do. All right, feel free again. We still have a few minutes. Any comments, suggestions, any questions, either on the pandemic, COVID-19, schools, work or anything about race relations, feel free to pipe that in and let us share as we talk about how we're going to turn things around on Premier's Turning Point. And we want everybody to be engaged, making sure you're reaching out to one another. The final thing I wanted to kind of bring up today, and it's somewhat of a new topic, but with all the wildfires and those that were accidentally set blazing in California and now in some of the other western states, I want people to start thinking about how that relates to climate change, and also what is the significance of the climate change, and how should we react, both as human beings and also as the children of God. How should we be reacting to all of this? And also in the back of your mind, I want you to ask yourself the question also, what can we do about the climate change? Some people will profess to say it is one of the signs of the end of the times, while others will think, well, we're the ones who are doing it, and if we could, control the use of fossil fuels and, work on the environmental protection things, then we can make a difference. So I would really want to engage you with that. That's probably one of our topics coming up down the road, which we are going to try to explore and expand. But of course, I wanted to introduce it today as we have our round, our kind of wrap up to our discussions that we've been having. Because I don't think some people think a lot about it. And as a matter of fact, I read an article this week, and it was in one of the news, that some of the big oil companies are, pulling the rug over our eyes because they are talking about how all of the stuff that was going to be recycled, but it's really not. And they're just, piling up more waste and garbage, especially plastics, which they claim all of that was going to be recycled, but the landfills are filling up, so, what are we doing to the environment? And are we the cause of some of the things that are going on around? Are we the source, and are we the ones who are causing all of these things to happen? Or are we doing all we can as God is leading us and guiding us, that we're doing everything we can to make our environment better? When I look at the climate change and the fires and all the things that are going on, they said that the temperatures have been so high in those cities. That's even before the fires, and that's some of the thing that is causing the fires to continue. Why are we having such drastic shift in the temperature and the climate and the thing that is going on? All right, is it the end of time, or is it the pollution and the destruction of the environment that we have allowed to take place over time? Some people will try to tell you that, hey, nothing is wrong. We have to use these resources. But if God has given us the knowledge and has given us the technology to use, other sources of energy that is not going to affect the planet in such an adverse manner, don't you think we should explore that? Don't you think we should put in some stock into making sure that works? Because if we can, really reduce, praise God, that carbon load on the environment, we're going to go a long way in making the air quality better, and the quality of life is going to be better for all of us. So I think this is something to consider and think about, especially in this time of the pandemic is going on, all of the upheaval and the riots and all of that stuff that's going on. We need to look at the whole and the bigger picture and see how we're going to affect this environment. That in essence, how can we use developing, safer and cleaner energy, and use that to even generate and boost the economy and do all of that stuff. And so I think this is where we need to start focusing. What can we do to make all of this better? I've told you what you can do in regards to the pandemic. You can wear a mask. You can social distance. You can refrain from gatherings that are with people from different households. Remember, and hear me clear and straight. I'm not talking just of the different family. You could be of the same family. You live in different households. You need to social distance and you need to wear a mask because, as I just told you, I told you the story. One family member visiting from out of another state, everybody in the house come down with COVID. A bunch of them are still in the hospital, and one person has died. This is, and there's stories and stories like that. So look at the whole big picture for our environment. Are we recycling? Are we, changing in our sources of fluids so that we can enact a cleaner air? What are we doing? Are we making a difference? And that's an important thing. This is a time for a turning point in all of our lives. All right, and this is the purpose of Premier Turning Point, to bring everything on the radar so that you can start thinking about what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, how you're going to make a difference, how you're going to make a change. As the people of God, we know we need to be striving to be like God. All right, and so as we live in this world, however, we're part of this world. We're living in this world. So how are we going to affect this world that we're living? We're either going to affect it negatively or positively. So positively is, what can I do to make things better for everybody else? Can I do to make things better for myself? And trickle all down is going to make things better for everybody else. So this is why when it comes to the pandemic, I am not, blaming anybody. I am not trying to dish out blame. I mean, I have my thoughts, but right now I'm in the mode of, how can we take control? How can we take control? Remember, we all have choice. It is an important thing when it's come to the people of God and everywhere. You have a choice. You can choose to be safe. You can choose to, make sure that you're standing, tall, and you're following the directions. You're wearing your mask, you're distancing, you're sanitizing, you're washing your hands when you come home. If you work in healthcare, you're dropping the clothes off and listen, we can decide how we're going to make a difference. And I'm thinking that is what is necessary right now. It's not all this rhetoric about, this and that, and it's not about all of that now. It's about turning to, a plan of action of how we're going to make a difference. If you're responsible for yourself, and I'm responsible for myself, and I'm doing the appropriate things, you're doing the appropriate things, we're going to see a decrease in the spread of this virus. We're going to see more likely a return to normalcy, because we are standing up for what is proper, what is right, and what is good. And it doesn't matter who you are. I don't care who you are. Are you, using the brain that God has given you? And are you, saying, all right, I need to protect myself, and how am I going to do this? Listen, depending on your position, those people in the hospital, you need masks, goggles, shield, body shield. You need all of that, because the thing. But trust me, those people who are out and about, they're acting as if they're invincible, or either that or they don't believe that we are in a pandemic. They're doing everything as normal. They're running around and doing things. Those churches that are choosing to open up, without the proper protection, that's also crazy. I'm telling you. It doesn't matter who you are, what the walk of life you've come. If you could be in the White House, if you could be the queen, if you're not using the brain and, taking the necessary precautions, then you're asking for trouble. And that goes with the environment as well. If we're not protecting what the Lord has given us, and we're not working with it and trying to decrease pollution and decrease, all the bad things that are going out into the environment, we're going to ruin it. And there are going to be fires, not just in a certain time, but every day we're going to find it. And we're going to find problems all over the place. So we want you to take responsibility. That is the turning point that you are at right now. Take responsibility for yourself. Take responsibility for those who are around you. And, we can make a difference together. Listen, the pandemic is raging high. But praise God, even though that is happening, we can take a stand and start doing what is right. And I'm going to implore everybody listening today. I'm a little preachy today, but hey, it needs to be done. I'm going to implore you all to start living every day as if you have the understanding that God has given you. And if you understand and know that something is right, you need to do it. I don't care what anybody else tells you. All right. I'm telling you today, you need to do what is right. And right now, in this time that we're in, it's wearing a mask, social distancing, and don't fool yourself and hang out everywhere and think you're going to be fine. The person that is perfectly fine right now may be carrying this virus. And here you are exposing to them. I saw a picture of some place people are hugging, they're high-fiving. But guess what? Weeks later, bam, you hear how many cases have been gone up because of those gatherings. Listen, look back at all the gatherings that have happened. You know, there's been some rallies and there have been stuff. People are dying because they have gone to those things. People are dying because they were exposed to someone who had the virus that they weren't aware of. And because of this no mask and no distancing, you know, the virus is just having a heyday. It's just running around from one to the next and just giving every one of them a kiss on the cheek, and bam, it's over. But today, you hear it right here in Premier's Turning Point. Be careful, protect yourself, be smart about it, and let God lead you and God direct you. Now, as we wrap up, any last comments or questions, please feel free to put them up so that we can answer them. If you have any thoughts at all, just share them right now. We can just wrap this all up. And so today was our update. Next week, we'll go back to having our guests on some very interesting topic. But today was just update, Premier's Turning Point with Bishop Dr. Lang. And I was using some of my doctor hat today, but also I almost got preachy at the end. But it's really just to give out the information. So make sure everybody are living right, living safely, and following directions and instructions so that we can come out of this pandemic on the other side much stronger and a more resilient people. So if you have any symptoms, get tested. If you have any doubts or you thought you were exposed, get tested. If you just need to figure out if you have ever been exposed, get tested. And I know there's different words going out, but get it all together. Let us put it all together. Let us live, as if we are the people of God and use the brain and the understanding that God has given us. I'm not calling anybody stupid, but if you're not following and doing the right thing, then you can decide. But I want you to be safe, and I want you to be around as long as God allows it. So we thank you all for joining us today, and we hope you'll join us on next week, same time, for another time of Premier's Turning Point. So God bless you this evening, and we love you. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you. We love you.
Turning Point family, what an awesome time we just had. To all our first-time guests, we truly appreciate you for joining our live broadcast. We would like to hear from you, so please send us your comments, questions, or testimonies of how this program has impacted your life. Our email address is info@pflmi.org. Finally, if you feel led at any time to give to this ministry, please visit us at pflmi.org and click on the tab for donations. You can also give via Cash App at $PFLMIORG. We're looking forward to meeting with you live on next week's program. Have a blessed and prosperous weekend.